Hello and welcome to my Maw of Souls dungeon guide. This dungeon is the culmination of the storyline laid out in the Stormheim questing area in Legion. The story behind the Maw of Souls is essentially that all those dead Virkul that perhaps pillaged a bit too much and didn't do right in the eyes of Odin are now awaiting passage via the Naglfar, a ship made of bones, en route to the not-so-subtly named Helheim, where they await Helya, the fallen queen of the Valkyr, formerly Odin's main squeeze and part-time Kraken impersonator. The first boss encounter you reach is that of Ymron. Those of you who are familiar with Wrath of the Lich King will remember him from Utgard Pinnacle as the boss at the top. He's now apparently dead and awaiting his passage aboard the Naglfar. There are a couple main mechanics you need to be aware of for this encounter. The first is Winds of Northrend, which is a 2.5 second cast AoE knockback. You would probably do well to avoid that, as it deals roughly 250,000 damage. His other abilities, Scream of the Dead and AoE Scream, which hits for over 500,000 damage to each target and puts a fear that is dispellable by your healer. DPS should also be aware to defeat the Risen Warriors created by the Arise Fallen spell. In the video, you'll notice these purple orbs on the floor that are meant to indicate those. In normal, they do not come alive, but in heroic and mythic, they do. Healers, be sure to dispel any of the Screams of the Dead from your DPS that forget to move, or that they can move. Tanks should also be aware that Ymron will cast Dark Slash when his mana bar hits 100. That deals 1.3 million damage after a 1.5 second cast. Probably useful to use a major cooldown for that. It looks like it doesn't happen very often in a fight, but it is significant enough to warrant a cooldown. The second boss you will encounter is Harberon. He's the captain of the Naglfar, and he appears to have some strange celestial connection. It's kind of interesting that they might be tying in some sort of celestials to this. DPS and tanks will need to interrupt his Void Snap. It creates an AoE damage that your healer will likely not be happy about. DPS should also defeat the Soul Fragments created by the oh-so-cleverly named Fragment ability. Healers, be aware that the Fragment target will take significant damage while your DPS burns down the adds. Not really much to this fight. It's pretty simple. Just kill the adds as they come out and do DPS to the boss when they're dead. Bad groups will probably ignore the adds and you'll probably wipe a bit. But what they make up for the lack of creativity in this fight, you'll see in the next one for Helya. Very interesting end boss. One thing to note, he apparently is doing a little scythe ability where he's pointing at a particular target and doing a line of scythes, it looks like. Obviously, just don't stand in this. As you see right there, those little purple circles. If he starts facing you, just, rule of thumb, somebody starts looking at you, giving you the eye, you want to step away. So, just something to note. It wasn't mentioned in the Dungeon Journal at the time of recording. But I did notice he was doing it as I was watching the video back. As a rogue, I didn't really know because I was just trying to stand behind him and DPS adds when I could. So, just a little extra information for you. At the end of the dungeon, you'll encounter Helya, our favorite fallen queen and Kraken, apparently. She's got her first phase is tentacle based. You'll have these grasping tentacles and these destructor tentacles. The destructor tentacles are DPS priority. If they're untanked or there's no melee in range, they do a little AoE for about 100 plus K. If you're the tank, you should also know that if Helya is untanked, she does AoE damage as well, increasing the longer she's not tanked. There is an ability on Heroic and Mythic that you won't see here because this was recorded using normal footage called Taint of the Sea. Essentially, it's a debuff that you get. If you get it, you need to step away from the group, let your healer dispel it, and then quickly get out of the area because it's going to leave a essence on the floor. That essence will explode for over 1 million damage to anybody within 5 yards. So that's a pretty nasty debuff to deal with. Her second phase will come when she kind of rips the front half of the ship off. She gets mad that you damaged her tentacles, and it is going to come get a little up close and personal with you. During that phase, she'll cast Corrupted Bellow, and as well as Bracked Water Barrage. Essentially, the key is just, avoid eye contact with her, as she's going to look at one section of the ship and start doing damage to it. This is what I refer to as the punch her in the face until she dies from it phase. Not much to it, it's just, watch out for things on the ground and where she's trying to do damage. At this point, it becomes a pretty tank and spank, but it's a very cool looking fight as you're fighting this giant sea witch. Not something I actually expected to happen in a 5-man dungeon. You'll see right there that was the Corrupted Bellow, the purple stuff on the floor. So you just kind of avoid. I'm not sure you actually kill her here. I think you just have to get her a little low and then she'll retreat. She may make an appearance on a raid, I would hope. Kind of a waste to make such a cool model to just have it used in one dungeon. Overall, not many bosses in this dungeon, but it felt pretty cool, especially in the culmination, actually fighting Helya with all the different phases and the actual, tentacles popping through the floor. Just a well-designed encounter. A really cool story arc in general, with the whole Helheim concept and the ship going to their version of hell for the vertical. As you see, she kind of retreats, tentacles pop up. Just something that periodically happens. You just kind of wait around, and kind of a boring section on the fight, but avoid damage, give your healer a little breather. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video and this guide to Maw of Souls. Best of luck in Legion, guys. See you around.